Hi there, it's Simon Gray from Career Codex, and thanks for joining me once again for another weekly video. Now, for the past few weeks, I've been pretty busy completing my next book, my third book, which is designed for people leaving school, college or university. And finally got the proof copy back from Amazon the other day, just been through, got a few amends to make. But then hopefully this book will be live and available on Amazon over the next couple of weeks. So I spend normally most of my time working with executives to help them navigate the job market successfully. But of course the executives of the future are the people leaving school, college and university now. So I thought it was important to get this knowledge and education out to them and to help them to make the right decisions to define, find and then secure the opportunity they really want, not just the one they might see advertised. But anyway, that's not the topic of today's video. What I wanted to talk about today is one of my favourite subjects, which is marketing. And marketing is something I had to get pretty good at back in 2008 when I started my own recruitment company. I started this business 2 weeks before the financial crisis hit, 2 weeks before Lehman Brothers collapsed, and suddenly the recruitment space was not the space it had been for the 2 or 3 years running up to that point. So I had to get really, really good at marketing, because suddenly you're faced with a situation whereby all of the other players are established players, they've got deep pockets, they can survive this recession, they've got money to spend on advertising. But of course, as a startup business, didn't have any of that. So I had to think innovatively and do things different. And I'm talking to you a little bit about some of the strategies that I learned then and how to apply those to successful job search today. So really there are two elements to marketing when it comes to job search and positioning yourself as somebody in the market to be found for your next position. And the first thing is personal brand. You need a strong personal brand, a strong personal message. And the second thing you need to be doing in terms of communicating that message, you've got to do things differently. Career Codex is built on a framework of looking at what the masses do, observing what the majority do, and then doing things differently, because that's the only way you can stand out. And it's exactly the same when it comes to marketing and applying marketing knowledge to successful job search. So let's talk a bit about personal brand. Now, the candidate that used to walk into my office that told me that they could do anything for anyone was absolutely the worst candidate for me to place. A, because they didn't really know what they wanted to do. B, I knew if they went in front of a client, an employer, who was hiring me to find them a candidate, they wouldn't communicate a clear message that was easily understood. And I really didn't know what to do with a candidate like this. So what tended to happen is that I would talk to other candidates and place those other candidates ahead of the candidate that wasn't that clear about what it is they wanted. They didn't have a clear personal brand and a clear personal message. So what I'd say to people is this: when you're establishing what your personal brand is, you've got to get very clear on the opportunity that you want. And in getting clear on the opportunity that you want, you get very clear on your target audience, because you only need one job. Now, what sector is it in? What type and size of organization is it? And where's it located? And this is the work we do at Career Codex in terms of defining what I call the destination statement. Because until you've focused on that and got very clear, it's very difficult for you to go out and talk to a professional recruiter and convince them that you're serious and they're someone they should invest some time with. And it's very difficult to convince an employer once you're in the interview environment as to what it is you want. It's also very difficult, until you know where you're going, to go out there into the marketplace and charter your own ship. Do some of the stuff that I talk about at Career Codex about using market makers and approaching employers direct to open up opportunities in the hidden markets. So a good personal brand is really getting clear about who you are, what you can offer, and who you're going to offer that to. And I've talked about this on a previous video. I call it the Tell Me More test. You can imagine you're at a networking event and you chat to somebody, you communicate something for the first 10, 15 seconds. And of course, what you want that person to say is, that's really interesting. Tell me more. Some people call this the elevator pitch. I like to call it the Tell Me More test, because it implies the conversation is going to continue if you do it well. And if you want to check that video out, go to careercodex.com/video. It's on there. And basically what I say in terms of a personal message is you've got to think about something that grabs attention. You've got to think about a message that's easy to understand. And also you've got to make that message memorable so it becomes mobile. So even if the person you're talking to currently doesn't have an opportunity for you, they're going to remember you in other conversations with other people. And there's a phrase I like to use: if you confuse, you lose. You absolutely do. So if you confuse your audience, you lose their attention and you lose the possibility of them ever referring anything to you. So you've got to be really, really clear and on message and know who your target audience is. Let's talk about number 2, about how to do things differently in terms of marketing. So let me ask you a question. We all watch TV, we see the adverts on TV, but if you watched TV last night, how many of those adverts can you actually remember? How many of those messages can you remember? I'd probably hazard a guess that not many. And that's because traditional advertising doesn't work anymore. Traditional advertising was about deep pockets. It was about spending money on jab, 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 putting all this information out there to the consumer and hoping something would stick. If you think about TV advertising, it's a very general message to a general audience. Of course, the people that advertise on TV pay a lot of money to do that, but they can't be necessarily sure who their target audience. They might know who their target audience is, but they can't be necessarily sure their target audience is watching at that point in time. Of course, there are things that they can do. If you advertise during the soap operas, you're going to get a soap opera type audience, but it's a little bit hit and miss, and of course it can be very expensive. So what's modern marketing all about? Well, modern marketing has changed the scene in terms of how you communicate a marketing message. And what that's about is, rather than positioning a product or a service and trying to sell it to the consumer, it's about educating the consumer. And I call this see me, like me, trust me, buy me, or in the job market terms, see me, like me, trust me, hire me. So what this is about is organizations recognizing that consumers have problems or challenges, or they have things they wish to aspire to. And it's about putting out educational content that helps consumers resolve their problems or aspire to something better over a period of time. So the consumer taps into this and builds a relationship with this organization, even though the organization may not know so at that time, so that when the time comes for that consumer to do something, to make a purchasing decision and raise their hand, they've already got a relationship with an established company, because that company has worked hard to build that relationship over time. And this is inbound marketing or education marketing. Now, think about this in terms of job search and successful job search, because there's lessons here about how you need to do marketing to market yourself and market your personal brand when you come onto the job market. If you think about traditional advertising, that's a bit like taking your CV, putting it on job boards and registering with a load of recruiters without really building a relationship with them. It's a very reactive approach. You're not certain of the outcome. It's a bit like fishing for fish in a really big ocean where there's not many fish at all and hoping that you're going to catch something. The chances of doing it are fairly slim. So it's not very targeted. It can be time consuming. And you're not likely to get a result anytime soon. So what I advise my clients to do is to adopt the more modern marketing approach, which is inbound and educational marketing. And luckily there are lots of tools out there now that enable somebody as an individual to communicate their message. And of course what I'm thinking about here is LinkedIn. So this is about using LinkedIn to communicate your expertise in a particular sector on a particular subject consistently over a period of time. There are published posts on LinkedIn, there are status updates, there are groups you can engage in conversation in. This is a great way to build rapport with a target audience who will be watching. Because what I can tell you as an ex-recruiter, you have employers looking at LinkedIn all of the time. It's a database that gives them access to the hidden market that they didn't previously have. So it's a great tool for them to sometimes bypass job boards and bypass professional recruiters. But if you're on LinkedIn, you've got to work it as a proactive engagement tool so that your personal brand is communicated consistently. It's not sufficient to create a LinkedIn profile and just put it out there and sit there and wait and hope for the best. So published posts, status updates, posting in groups, engaging in conversation is what it's all about. And that helps to raise your profile so you're the one that gets seen and you're the one that gets invited in for interview. And thinking about the analogy I used in terms of marketing, you're kind of putting educational content out there, and when the employer spots this and they're ready to hire, well, you've kind of built a relationship with them already, and they might just knock on your door ahead of somebody else's. So LinkedIn's been a really powerful tool and game changer to allow people to communicate their personal brand properly. So wanted to throw that out there today. Marketing is a huge subject. There's lots of other stuff that you can do. In fact, before I forget, one of the other things you should be doing with marketing, and of course when it comes to job search, it's about getting a face-to-face meeting. So it's not just about online marketing, it's about positioning yourself offline in the real world. Things like press commentary, public speaking, networking events, that's just as important. And sometimes the online stuff can lead to the offline stuff, but a balance of both is important in essentially what is a people business when people are looking to get hired by an organization and an individual within that organization. So as you can probably tell, I could talk about marketing all day. I want to leave you with this thought: marketing is important for you as a job seeker, for somebody looking for your next opportunity. It's important even in your existing company to advance your career. It's important when you're looking to leave your existing company and get a new position externally. And those that succeed in marketing have a clear personal brand. They know who they are, they know what they're communicating, and they know who they're communicating to. And when it comes to promoting that message, they do it in a very, very different way, which is not about selling and expecting to be the one that gets hired. It's about a longer term strategy built on consistency, which is about positioning yourself out there so people see you, like what you're saying, start to trust your message, and when the time comes to hire, you're the go-to person to talk to. So that's pretty much it for today. Hope you enjoyed that video. I'll be back next week with another weekly video. If you'd like to watch previous videos that I've done, please head over to careercodex.com/video. If you've got any comments, let me know, post in the comments box. And if you've not yet subscribed to my weekly newsletter to get this content direct to your inbox, then you can do that at careercodex.com. So hope you've enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.